Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command, World War II, World at War. It is January of 1945, the Axis powers are on a roll. We have conquered Russia, splitting it between the Japanese and the Germans. We have also conquered China, which is going mostly to the Japanese. I know this was a few videos ago. Some of you were talking about there still being nationalist Chinese forces in Nanjing, and that's why China still has partisans. This isn't true. This is actually a puppet regime of ours. So we established a nationalist Chinese puppet regime quite a while ago, actually. And so we can raise troops for this group, and this is its territory, but it's not an enemy, it's an ally. With that being said, we have conquered China. We're beginning to get troops into place for the invasion of India, but as we've started to do that, we've actually seen the Americans have sent quite a few troops here into India. I'm not sure quite how they got there so quickly, but we can see here there's a tank unit, 2 air units, and that could make going a little bit more difficult for the Japanese, who aren't as upgraded on armored technology as the Western Allies, certainly, or even as the Germans. So that may make going a little bit difficult if the Americans really throw a lot of resources behind India. We're going to try and limit that somewhat. We're replenishing the Japanese Navy here near Singapore, and we're trying to see what the Americans are going to do here. They did have a failure at landing on the New Guinea coast, where we destroyed an American army there. They do have Kukum and Guadalcanal currently under control. We could try and make a play there. And they haven't really made an effort on any of the Central Pacific islands yet, which do feel a little bit vulnerable, but they haven't really made a move there yet in this war. So, that could certainly change, but that's the situation right now. We do know there's an American carrier, an Essex class here at Dili. It's been damaged but not destroyed, but it's in port, so that's hard to deal with. We also know the Americans have an army here on Java, which we may want to see if we can try and reduce an army in a headquarter unit, which might actually be able to overwhelm our own troops there, which are lacking in supply. I'm trying to get a headquarters unit south in China to the border, but to the coast, so I can get them on transports. But that's proving a little bit challenging. We do have one headquarter unit here because I am planning an amphibious invasion of India as soon as I can. I'm going to try and put some troops ashore either at Colombo and Trincomalee, and then from there jump to Calcutta, Madras, and move on Bombay before eventually moving on Delhi. But if we can't do that, we may just land on the coast of India itself, and maybe at like Vizagapatam, or however you pronounce that, and or maybe south of Calcutta, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but I am planning an amphibious operation. We do have some transports already at sea. We've got the 37th Japanese Infantry Unit here and the 1st Japanese Infantry Unit here near Hong Kong, as well as some transports all currently ready to kind of follow up as the second wave. So we've got 2 amphibious units to land on the hostile beaches, and then 3 units here that'll land as reinforcements once a port is secure. And we're going to have a headquarter unit as well that'll be ready for that invasion. We could actually make the first task for some of those troops to pacify the island of Java. That might actually be the smart thing to do, but it will delay us a bit. It's already 1945. It's January of 1945, so it's getting a little bit late in the war. I think the game theoretically goes to 1947, but I'm not really sure. Meanwhile, in Western Europe, we already mentioned we took Russia. We're in the process of trying to drive the American, British, and Canadian forces into the sea in France. They have a lot of troops here, and they're continuing to pour more troops into the region. They also have a lot of air cover in England, so that's making things a little bit slow and difficult, but we are gradually making progress there. Italy, the same story. The Americans had broken out near Naples, but we counterattacked them and have driven them back a bit, and are threatening to drive them back into Sicily itself. And then in the Middle East, we just took Iraq from the British. We're about to take Kuwait next turn, and then we're going to start moving our armored units in here to retake Cairo and that critical city. So that's the situation right now. It is January of 45, but it's going to be February before we start our next turn. You can see snow falling here in Western Europe. So let's go ahead and get in to that next turn and see what the Allies are going to do. Norwegian partisans are disrupting supply in Norway. We're continuing to hinder supply in Crete. Allied raiders are disrupting the Dutch East Indies convoy routes and the Burma convoy routes for Japan. Germany's developing long-range aircraft level 1. That's the first time Germany's done any research toward long-range aircraft, which will be necessary if we ever have an opportunity for a cross-channel invasion of England. We need to make sure our aircraft have the reach to destroy potential adversaries, both in England from France and also from British naval units, perhaps operating in the Channel or north of the Channel. Looks like the Canadian armor is moving into Caen. The Americans are doing some reinforcements in Italy. I'm assuming we'll see some air power hitting our troops in Italy. This armored unit here is a little bit exposed at level 4. It could end up getting destroyed. We'll see. Now, currently, I think the last episode to air is episode 58, so I'm recording this about 2 episodes ahead of what you guys have seen, so I know sometimes you guys give me comments saying, like, try this or that. I try to incorporate the feedback that you guys give, but honestly, based off my real work schedule, my real life schedule, and my ability to record, sometimes I have to do these things kind of in batch or ahead of time, you know, when I have the time, because I don't always have the time. So I do apologize for that, guys, if it's sometimes feels like I'm not taking your advice. I do it as best I can. I just don't always have the opportunity to see your feedback until after the next few episodes have been recorded. So I know that was kind of something that came up in one of my last videos, and I just want to make you guys know I do hear you. I do read the comments. I try to address them when I can, but it's not always possible. Meanwhile, it feels like the British must have a technology research where their heavy bombers can like bomb 3 or 4 times, because they are hitting us a shit ton with those strategic bombers. It looks like the same strategic bomber unit launched 3 or 4 raids, so we really need to see if we can take that guy out and maybe, you know, lessen substantially the impact that that would have on us. Meanwhile, you can see British jets in India. The British have the most advanced fighters of anybody yet. We are researching level 5 fighters, but we're not there yet. The British have jet fighters already, which is going to give them a pretty substantial advantage. You can see multiple Allied counterattacks against some Hungarian troops there in, oh shit, a level 11 tank? Yikes. A level 11 tank invading India, or Burma. But the Hungarian troops there were doing pretty well on the defensive. The Allies just moved some anti-aircraft in, which seems like a stupid decision because that's going to be exposed to our armor. We should just be able to wipe that out real quick. But maybe the Allies are going to come against us. The good thing we have in India, at least we have a lot of tactical bombers, which are repositioning down that way. Really got to hope. I didn't realize this amphibious unit wasn't in a port. I really have to hope that the Americans and British submarines don't make a play to try and knock it out. Probably be a couple more turns before we can shuttle these troops anywhere. We need to sort of shuffle them along the coast and have surface ships go out ahead of them so we don't get ambushed by any submarines, because a submarine would very easily wipe out one of those units very quickly. Okay, so some reinforcements. I will say these turns do seem to go a bit quicker now that the Russians are out of the war, which makes sense. Some more partisan actions in Norway, more supplies being hindered in Crete. And is that it? It is. Rome damage from bombing, Bordeaux damage from bombing, Lille damage from bombing. Okay. Until... Alright. One of the things I saw one of you guys commenting on was, like, if I had more units in South America, I could be conquering all these countries. The problem is most of these guys are neutral. I don't think there's any... Is Paraguay? Yeah, Paraguay's neutral. Chile's neutral, aren't they? Yeah, like all of these South American countries are neutral. I mean, we could declare war on them, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to create more enemies and give the enemy more points. Plus, it'd be pretty difficult. I mean, Argentina could invade Chile and could invade Bolivia, but it'd be pretty difficult to get to some of these countries. Like, we can see here Peru is an allied country, but we have no way to get there. And then we've got Bolivia or Colombia, which is also an allied country. And we've got Venezuela, which is, it looks like it's an allied country. So yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, and maybe we could even start an invasion in through, like, South America, but I don't know. It's just, it doesn't seem very plausible to me. Alright, so let's go to Western Europe first. So it's still snowing, so the allied aircraft were able to do their thing, but our aircraft won't be able to do anything. In that event, we're just going to go ahead and reinforce some of these guys who lost some casualties. We'll do that first. I think all these guys are already upgraded. Some of these guys can get additional elite reinforcements. Wow, these guys can actually go to level 13 elite. Some of those are really experienced Stuka pilots. But we're just giving all these guys long-range aircraft, because I do think having long-ranged aircraft is going to be important for us, especially for, you know, the escorts and the bombers or whatnot, as we attempt to kind of break through this allied beachhead. It'd be great to be able to provide support if we can break through without having to bring them right up to the front. And I think the same goes for our fighters, too. Alright, so it is snowing, which is going to give us a penalty, I think. Ooh, wow. Alright, let's arty these guys, because that's the only thing our artillery can reach. And... Alright, we're going to attack with these infantry. We're going to take the defensive artillery away. Oh, they did jack shit. Then we're going to swing these guys over and attack. They'll do level 2. So these tanks can do level 5. Oh, they didn't quite destroy them, so they got one hit in. So a second attack by these Panthers does knock out the units in con. Then we'll roll these tanks forward here. Meanwhile, we're going to attack this anti-aircraft gun with our tanks. And then we're going to destroy it with this other tank unit. And we've got one more attack, so we'll go against the the artillery. All right, so we'll hold there, I think. Oh wait, no, the infantry can move forward from Le Havre, so we'll do that. And they'll attack the artillery as well. Yeah, these guys they must get like, oh, I can't believe how many times those bombers can attack. That's nuts. All right, we'll move these troops forward from Amin along the coast. We'll go ahead and reinforce these mechanized troops. Same for these cavalry. These infantry. Okay. Alright, so we advanced along that front. Now I think the rest of this turn's primarily going to be focused on reducing the enemy troops here in the south. So we'll go at these British infantry with our tanks. Again, we're not getting the same kind of success, in part because it's the winter, so there's some penalties. Damn it. Nice! The garrison finished them off. That was a very solid result there. Then the armor can move forward, sort of pinch off their beachhead there. All right, this guy moved yet? He hasn't. So we're going to attack with the mechanized troops here. We'll attack twice. And then we'll swap out. Attack there. Didn't do anything. That's okay. Alright, these tanks which pulled back are going to reinforce to max. These anti-aircraft guns are going to move forward a little bit. And I think that's going to do it for the French front. Largely trying to keep some troops along the coast in the event the British get uppity and decide to land against us again. We'll give elite reinforcements to these subs before we send them back out. And then I'm not actually going to operate this tank unit here in Denmark, mainly because I'm just going to drive them fast. Mainly because I don't want to spend the money on doing that. Seems like a bit of a waste. Meanwhile, if we go back into Norway... Yikes. Alright, invading Norway and going against these British troops which have no supply, but our own troops are going to be out of supply soon. Can we rail troops up there? I know you guys were saying that there's no chance that the Allies... Yes, we can. Or at least part of the way. I know you guys were saying there's no possibility for the Allies to raise any troops in Russia, so that I should bring these guys out. I will say that I don't know where to really send them at this point. I could send them into the Middle East, I guess. Alright, we need to move... Alright, I'm going to move these guys down here to Basra. I'm trying to get to Kuwait. Kuwait isn't neutral, right? It is allied, but it doesn't look like I can get there yet this turn. So we're moving those headquarter units up. I'm going to upgrade these tanks while we've got them here to level 4. And we're going to move these mechanized. Let's reinforce these troops, these Syrian troops. These guys down here. Okay. So we're going to advance in strength. I still need to get this headquarter unit closer to the front so they can actually provide supplies. Part of me wants to invade India with these troops, but I don't know what they'd be up against. So probably not quite yet. Alright, we're going to try and hit these American tanks. We'll hit them with strategic bombers first, so we're going to drop the enemy fighters. Surprisingly enough, our level 4 fighters actually did some damage to them. And then, wow, our strategic bombers there did some damage. A second round of interceptors. Apparently the enemy fighters get to intercept twice, but they lost 3 casualties that time to our escorts. So they've lost at least half their strength so far. The enemy still has these P-51s, by the looks of it, that could also intercept. We're going to go with the naval flotilla. Well, no, they can't really. Doesn't look like they're good at ground attacks. So we're going to bomb with these naval flotilla fighters. We only lost 1 there. Another enemy jet intercept. Interesting. So we lost some casualties there. Looks like we're going to lose more casualties, this time P-51s. Again, lost 3 there. But the good news is we're destroying this American armored unit. Rather not. Ugh. Alright. He gone. So we destroyed him. We'll move these troops forward, I think. We can't reinforce the fighters because they got shot to pieces. Can we advance into India? I'm worried about the supply situation. There's no supply out that way. Well, there's a little bit of supply. And I can't move. Let's fly him down to Mandalay. Let's move these fighters closer to the front. This headquarter unit can't. So what we really need is these guys to move north. And then this headquarter to move south. So we'll need these guys to move on the railway north to Mitaya, where they can provide support, I think. And then we can move this headquarter unit down just west of Mandalay, where they can provide support. There's a roadway here up near Lido. So I think these guys will have to stay. Actually, they don't need to stay there. We'll move him here. We'll operate these guys here. Alright, that should be good. Alright, so advancing into India slowly. There's a lot of enemy troops we're going to have to deal with. Ooh, we can hit these special forces pretty hard there. I would really like to bomb them. But I've already moved my aircraft, and I don't want to lose 5-1. That's nuts. We'd lose 5 casualties to hit them? Goddamn enemy jets, eh? It's snowing up here by the looks of it, so we can't attack there. But we are going to try and invade India from the north as well. The supply situation is dicey up here, but I've got a headquarter unit with them, so I'm hoping that it plays out. Moving one of these guys down here. Alright, so we've got a headquarter unit in Hong Kong we can move to. So let's see about clearing a sea lane for these guys to move through. Making sure there's no enemy submarines about. I know it's not really the job of the battleship, but yeah. Alright. Actually, we've got an American sub here. Unfortunately, there's stormy weather, so I can't really do much about helping. Alright, let's move this guy here. Move these guys to Saigon. We're going to move the transports in as well, and then we're going to shield them with the rest of our vessels, I think. Alright, then we also need to get these guys on transports. We're going to move them at the double. Down there. So I know they lose morale probably and disruption or something by doing that. Alright, these guys are going to move over here. The Vladivostok crew is going to jump on transports too. How far can they move? They can get all the way down there too? Jesus, you can move a fucking far way with transports. Alright. I don't really know if I need to spend reinforcements on some of these guys who are a little bit more remote. Just in case, you never know. Kind of wonder if I should move the bombers closer to the front. In any event, hopefully these guys aren't going to be able to reinforce effectively and we'll be able to obliterate them in the next turn or two. Or if the weather lifts, we can bomb them. And then with this headquarter unit, maybe we can advance into the rear of these troops over here and threaten Delhi. Meanwhile, we're going to move some of our surface ships in here, so if the enemy does attack with submarines, these guys will be safe. I think almost all of our surface vessels, almost all of our navy is actually recovered. We still have some carrier work that needs to be done. But for the most part, everybody's ready. Everybody's ready for another major battle. We haven't seen the American fleet lately, which is a little bit of a cause for concern. I know they were getting stronger. Last time we saw they were at 22, and now they're up to 25 naval vessels. So if those guys are going to show up in the Pacific, again, that's a bit of a something we have to be able to deal with. That was not what I was hoping for. Meanwhile, these guys upgrade these special forces. I don't want to spend money on mobility for them. There's no reason for them to have mobility there. Okay. I think that does it for Japan. Are these garrison? No, these guys aren't here for a reason. Oh, we already moved them. Never mind. Hong Kong, we're also going to transport this guy. Actually. Damn it. I really wanted to move him in here, but it looks like there might be a sub. I don't want to risk the headquarters. So I'm not going to do that. I need to move a headquarters to Batavia. So we'll move him to Singapore first, and then we'll unload him at Batavia next turn. So then we've got better supply on this island to deal with the Americans as they start to come after us. So that should do it for Japan, with the exception of perhaps some research spending or some new units. Anti-tank weapons we're already spending quite a bit on. Advanced fighters we're already spending on. I mean, there's only one tank unit that we have. I think logistics would be a better... Each new level of logistics reduces operational movement and regular transport costs. It also increases build limit for HQs and all types of transports by 1. See, I feel like Amphibious warfare we could spend 200 on, and that might actually help us with the upcoming invasion of India if we can get it to level 2. So we'll do that. Meanwhile, Germany, we haven't moved in Italy yet, so we need to do that. We'll bomb here. Oh no, interceptors! Oh wait, we have escorts, I forgot about that. Nice, alright. So these Americans also are not super up-to-date units either. Alright, let's reinforce this guy to full strength, and then that tank will be down there in a turn or two. Reinforce this guy. I don't really know what to do, like, there's no partisan risk. Pull these guys back. I don't really know what to do with my Argentine forces. Guess we'll reinforce just to get them up to level 10. We'll upgrade these guys just in the event that the Americans send an amphibious force against them or something. Egypt, we already moved these troops. These guys need to reinforce by 1. So, Western France. Just trying to see, like, are we missing anything? I mean, we still have some troops in Russia. I mean, we can pull them out. I don't know where to put them. You know what would be interesting? Be kind of interesting if we had another headquarter unit to spare, which I really don't. I mean, maybe we could get away with moving a German headquarters unit. I don't really know. I don't think so. You know, once we finish them in Western France, I'm going to move another headquarter unit to the Middle East. As it stands right now, I'm also going to move an Italian headquarter unit here, and then I'm going to move the Italian troops in Russia, of which there are still some. Somewhere. These guys. And we're going to try an invasion of India from Iran. It's a garrison. Meanwhile, I guess we'll operate this guy. I think we already have a headquarters unit in Western Europe. Alright, so we'll do that. The one Romanian headquarters, it sure would be nice to have a second. There's no real point. Like, I should probably move the Romanian headquarters maybe to the Middle East instead with the Romanian troops. I think cavalry in the Middle East will make some sense. I just don't know. Again, the supply situation is the problem here. I need a headquarter unit in the east, but I also need one in the west. So honestly, I may look at stripping one. I'm just worried whether that'll end up with units without headquarters. This guy is kind of dealing with all these troops back here. This guy's dealing with all of these. He clearly is dealing with all these. I mean, these headquarters units maybe are a little less important because these guys aren't directly in the battle. So I guess we'll operate them to the Middle East, von Manstein's. And this will support an invasion of India from the east. So we can actually do something with these just obscene numbers of troops that we have. Move them through the desert. Yeah. So I think that's probably going to about do it. Let's take a look at German research just finished. What did we just finish? We finished something. It was, oh, long-range aircraft. So we've got about 359 points we can spend. We've got 175 more we can increase spending to. Ground attack weapons are for aircraft. I think it makes sense to spend more there. We've got a lot of aircraft. We could upgrade that. So we'll do that. And then diplomacy. Can we convince anyone? We don't have any chits for Germany. Are we still working on Turkey? We're at 40% chance and they still aren't swinging? That's weird. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. We're still kind of feeling things out. We're going to see how the situation in Western Europe develops. But for the moment, anyway, we're in the process of slowly, inexorably, pushing the Allies out of France. And we're holding the line in Italy, hopefully with a counterattack there to be more successful soon. And then, meanwhile, in the Pacific, we haven't seen a lot of action in the Pacific. We've destroyed a lot of American ships, but we haven't seen recent action in the Pacific. Kind of not concerned, but I wonder if there's more that we're, like, not seeing. I wonder if it's worthwhile doing, like, some recon flights or something. I don't know how far this guy can fly. I mean, it doesn't really give us a very good look at things. Probably should upgrade some of these guys, though. We don't have the money, do we? Just in case they come after us. But yeah, our focus is really in the Western Pacific at the moment, with the American forces on Java, which I would assume, hopefully that's where they would send the reinforcements, I would think. So maybe that's where we make our play. Try and retake Java. Anyway, we'll see. We'll figure that out next turn. Until next turn, though, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you for watching, and I'm out.